The All Smiling Faces podcast is now sponsored by Tyre Spot, the Northeast's leading tyre supplier with branches across the region. Tyre Spot don't just do tyres, they cover everything from servicing to wheel alignment. They can handle every aspect of your car's maintenance. For more information, visit tyrespot.co.uk. Enjoy the episode. Hi, everybody. Welcome back to the All Smiling Faces podcast on the GallowgateShots YouTube channel. And we are back, all four of us, once again on this lovely Monday evening. And Deka, just take away straight away.
I've actually got Guinness in here.
Which is quite... people will be kicking right.
Yeah, well, there's no that glass.
You kicking off about
people.
No,
he's lying.
Yeah.
That's a latte. It does look like it's just
there's 100%.
There's Guinness in
that
fridge.
Caramel latte. Doesn't latte play up front of Borough.
Anyway, we're winning now.
You are
get it in, lads.
Back to winning ways.
And
do you know what it is? I think I just want to touch back on that Bournemouth game ever so slightly because of the result that they got as well on Saturday afternoon.
Yes,
they got that. You're thinking, well, it wasn't as bad as a result, really, with obviously how they went and absolutely smashed Forest 5-0, wasn't it? Then, obviously, on the weekend, we bounced back. We're all expecting a win. I know, Mark, you hate it when we say we're expecting a win, but come on. If you're not expecting a win against bottom of the league, it was 6 points. You're shit.
It's the perfect recipe, isn't it, really, for what happened the week before? I mean, it was. But listen, you've still got to go there and do a job. And it wasn't so long ago we were sitting here going, we really struggle to break down the poorer sides. We've sat there and said that, right? So we've still got to go there, be professional, do a job. You've actually still got to come back from a 1-0 down because we conceded first, which we'll come on to. So, but no, it was a fabulous return to winning ways.
Yeah, considering the way the first game of the season went as well, when they kind of dominated the ball. And we had Shea sent off, so there's mitigation there. But how difficult we found that, and how canny Southampton looked then as well. I thought they'd have a really reasonable season going on from that, and instead they're now well and truly on.
Well, they've stunk the place out
funny, but you're right. Based on that performance against us, you would never have expected now they'd have 6 points.
Mine
just wouldn't
again when Derby got that record-breaking season. They took 4 points off us out of their 11.
Well, the season we got relegated, did we not start really well against Southampton?
Under McLaren.
First game of the season.
We did. We looked really good.
Ronaldo and Obertan looked decent.
Yeah, we know how that season ended as well. So maybe it's just Southampton.
Remember when we hadn't won there for years?
We used to
go down there.
Spanked.
It was like from 72 until
2000. Like
it was. We won there. Stephen Carr scored a screamer from like 20 odd yards out. And that was the first time we'd won it. Till that, obviously, it was in St Mary's. The Dell was long gone.
I seem to be on a lot of stag do's and stuff, right, over the Pardew years, or maybe McLaren, where it was.
You're still on now.
I was going to say, to be fair, I was only
I was about 10 last year.
It's like that Valerie's birthday.
No, but honestly, it was like 6-1s in that, man. Like, I remember there was one game we got beat, like, I think it was 6-1 or something like that. And truthfully, if it hadn't been for Rob Elliott, I think it was in the goal. Would have been about 10 or 11.
Oh, got beat down.
And I'm like, how the fuck that bad? Like,
was it 3-0 when Janmar broke his hand punching the wall? And Lascelles got me a captain afterwards because of how he handled it. And then I remember playing down there.
Was that the cover? Was that cover?
I was on the car. No, it was Southampton.
Because that was when Carver asked the two fellas to come back and trade for a cup of tea, if I remember right.
And then a few years later, that was when
was
it Lascelles again in the post match? That was Mashare actually saying no one gives a shit. And that was Southampton as well. So we've had some really weird times down there. I remember Letitia scoring 2 in like the last minute in I think 96, 97.
Unbelievable goals.
That's when they used to play the games in the cinema in town. Yeah, I think I watched that game in that cinema. The Odeon where the
Street.
Where the got beat, it would have been pitch black.
What?
Moving on.
No.
What?
I said,
Jesus, God, I'm going
to have to repeat this.
You're going to have to.
I said, no wonder they got
beat.
Twice. It must have been pitch black.
I think you're trying to say because the cinemas.
They were playing in the Odeon, in the cinema.
No, I didn't say that. I said they used to play the game in there.
Well, that's what he's meaning.
Exactly.
Oh, right, okay.
There we go. There's the penny.
Oh, that's shite. But anyway, what I wanted to address first of all, because I think this is a bit of a litmus test for Newcastle fans at the moment, and Deka, I spoke to you briefly on Saturday night when we were bumping into you, is that when we're going to goal down at the minute, are you still thinking, that's fine, it's all right, we'll get back into it?
Oh, never been so confident.
Yeah.
Honestly, I think I put it in the group on Saturday because people are, listen, it was a poor goal to concede, right? And we'll come on to that. But I said, like, poor goal to concede, plenty of time. You know, we'll be fine because we've got players in the team that we know can turn it on. And there's moments in games, right? And this was a prime example of this one. Spells in games to 5 to 10 minutes, we look world class as a team. Like there's moments in games where when we're on it, there's nobody better on the eye than us.
Like the goal that they scored came against the run of play anyway.
We dominated.
We were absolutely dominating it. It was the perfect response after last week because we were countering, pressing them, getting onto them with pace, really pushing to get on the ball and stuff like that, and putting them under pressure. So it was a little bit of a kick in the teeth to concede as early as we did, given how we'd started.
It was totally against run of play. We had a few really good efforts early on. Couldn't break them down. And the commentator not long before was saying, "Oh, you need to get more crosses in or something like that." I thought, here we'll go. You know, it's
we need to have a discussion about the commentator, but I think we'll leave this.
I think more the co-commentator than the commentator.
Co-commentator. We'll leave it when we've finished addressing the match because Jesus, that's a talking point in itself.
I turn it off.
I'm not surprised. I'm not surprised. But yeah, we'll go goal down. I'm the same as everybody else. I'm thinking that's fine. Like, but then there's a little niggle in the back of my brain going, "Oh, this is Newcastle," and I need to get it out of my head that this isn't the Newcastle of old. Because Mark, you would see this happen before. You get the poor result against Bournemouth, and you think, "Oh, it's a nice game to bounce back on." Then let's say if you walk away from St. Mary's with a draw, you're still thinking, that's shit, like the worst. This could be a start of a bad run of form with huge games coming up. But it didn't happen.
No, and again, I think the way that was started kind of put any of those doubts that we might have had to rest. And the fact that even though we did go one down, we still were taking the game to them and trying to get back into it really, really quickly, as we had been. And obviously we'll come on to the equaliser of how we got back into the game, but even before that, we were causing them issues. So it did just feel like a matter of time to get back into the game. So yeah, you just need to have a bit more confidence and faith, Christopher.
Yeah, I'm getting there slowly. I'm slowly getting there.
I mean, you don't want to be a goal down at any point, do you? You know, you never want to concede. I'm kind of, and I remember years ago hearing something, you're better off conceding earlier. If you're going to concede, do it in the first 5-10 minutes because then you've got the whole game to get it back. Obviously, that you're also more likely to concede a second as well. Like that being the case. I don't think
that was all going to be there.
Completely infallible. Like,
when they scored that, they had a few minutes maybe after that goal where they really did.
Yeah,
they almost got a second and they were coming into it. But again, I had every faith in the world. Like honestly, I did. I just thought we've got enough class on that pitch. Now, of course, you could see the same against Bournemouth, right? We went 1-0 down. We got to 1-1 quite quickly. And never really win the game, right? Yeah. Like, but I did feel that we would have too much for them. Like,
it does help that they are absolutely terrible.
Well, they've conceded like 5 goals in the last 3 home games, haven't they? They had a really, really poor home record. Like they've lost 5 or 6 in a row now. They were
5-0 down at half time against one of the worst teams currently there is, right? In Spurs, you know. So there obviously there's a problem there. Like, but again, you've just got to be professional, get your job done, and I mean when you've got him up front, man. When you've got him up front, you can win any game of football.
And the fella on the right as well.
Absolutely correct as well, and we'll come on to him later. Yes,
let's talk about them now because in fact their goal, right? That we've already mentioned, their goal goes against run of play. Dan Burn goes drifting off trying to win the challenge. He just kind of does win it, then comes back in. So the ball, it's a great ball in, just dinged over the top. Then there's just nobody fills that void where Dan Burn should have been. Yeah, and that's all that it is at the end of the day. I think
the defenders are picking up a man. The problem is there's a third man standing in between them.
Yeah,
the two defenders.
Share's the closest defender, but he's got the bloke behind him.
Yeah,
for me,
and Tino's the next one, and he's got his man. The problem is there's nobody from midfield.
I've seen
that the one that's coming in.
People point the finger at Burn for me, and I think it should be someone else if he's gone out to address the ball, which he's got to do. Because if he doesn't do that, then the fella's got to take and put his foot in the ball, pick the man out. So Byrne's got to go and do what he does, but someone's got to drop back, and Joe Linton's on the edge of the box with nobody.
I think Byrne has to win that challenge, though.
He does. He wins it, but
he falls over.
Well, it's how he wins it. I think Byrne. I've seen a bit of that with Dan Byrne getting a bit of the finger pointing at him, and I think that's very.
No, I'm not putting all the blame on him. I'm just thinking if you're going to leave that position, you need to win the ball. Like you have to win it.
He has to leave that position.
Yeah, but then he falls over
for two reasons. The right back and the right winger, or both of them, are on one player, Lewis Hall. There's nobody supporting there. So either Joe Linton is your normal one who comes across, he's nowhere near,
Yeah.
or you expect your left winger to drop back in and help out. He ain't anywhere near it either. So Lewis Hall gets beaten very easily, I feel, and then Burn has to come over and try and win it. But again, you then would expect somebody to be coming into that space on the left to stop that ball coming over.
Well, I've watched it 4 times before you arrived because I was early. And I paused it a few times to watch it back in terms of what happened. So for me, I agree with the Burn situation. I definitely agree with Joe Linton as well. However, when the cross goes in, Shea is marking Armstrong, which is slightly ahead of the goal scorer. So Shea to him, he's looking to his left, he's right, sorry. He sees Armstrong. There's a player behind Shea, who's the goal scorer. Now, no one seems to realise Murphy's right there as well. Murphy comes back and Murphy's behind Livramento, but he is on the initial picture. You can't really see Murphy. What Murphy should be shouting is almost pushing Livramento.
Just move it a bit.
You mark him and I'll mark your man. But ironically, both of them are marking one player. Livramento doesn't take that step forward until it's too late. If Murphy shouts and goes, I've got him, take a step forward. I'm not saying, listen, it was a good cross. It was a good cross. I'm not sure Livramento would have gotten there anyway.
He's good in the air, but he is.
Yeah, it was a good header.
Comes past Bruno on the edge of the box.
To be fair, Deka, Anthony, just before you mentioned that as well, Anthony Allen commented in saying Murphy had came back, but they just didn't shift along.
That's
exactly what it is.
He said it much more easier than I did.
A lot of communication on
yeah. So Murphy, I thought Murphy did well getting back because he's obviously, bearing in mind, we've criticised Joe for a second, we've criticised Bruno, letting him run past. Murphy comes back well, maybe just doesn't
burn both barrels as well.
It was completely Burns' fault. I mean, he wouldn't play again for me, but it was a soft goal, no doubt about it. Especially when you see someone unmarked like that scoring, you immediately go, that's soft immediately. But it was a very good header. But
the cross was great.
Of course it is. But yeah, after that, yes, we mentioned they've had a couple of minutes spell after that where the I'm saying take control, but they don't really take control. But the
tails are up because they've got a goal. They get a little bit excited. The crowd are behind them.
That's so patronising.
That's exactly what happened.
Like Bromley. But we'll get straight back into it. There's a penalty decision which takes an absolute lifetime. So the referee, when Isaac goes through, the referee immediately points for a corner.
Yes.
I think he's probably done that to let VAR step in and make that decision for him. I think that's kind of what he's done.
I think he does not believe that's a penalty.
I just don't think he's got a good eye vision of it, and he's just let it go.
Did you think it was that obvious? Like
I thought.
When you see the replays, it is. I think
I agree with you there.
First time reviewing it took a couple of replays because I was thinking, I wonder if he's just going to toe on the ball and just played it a little bit, and then it became apparent that he hadn't.
Yep.
But it took a real time, whatever. That could, to the naked eye, have looked like a good tackle to me.
I agree.
I just think the way the ball, it didn't move. Like the ball just didn't move angles.
That's what I'm.
But a slight, if anything, a slightest of touch.
It looks like they might. I thought at first when you look at it, I thought, he looks like he's just got his toe on it, and that's how it's been played. And then we see the replay, and the ball just doesn't deviate after the last Isaac touch. It's like, it's a penalty.
The way Isaac goes down as well, he doesn't go down like that if he's got a sniff of getting a shot away and trying. So
there has been a lot of people saying that it wasn't a pen. I've still seen it now, and I'm like, I'm not.
It's
when you see
it's definitely
definitely is, 100%,
yeah. But like I say, it takes ages to the point where the referee's got to go over to the on-field monitor and make a decision on the back of that. But like I said, it takes about 5 minutes or something.
It's ridiculous that it takes that long because you can see from the very first playback, he gets nowhere near the ball. And he completely takes Isaac out. I
think that's why I just don't think the referees had a very good view of it. So he's just awarded the corner and went, right, if I've got this wrong, VAR step in.
That's what he should do, right? That's what he should do.
He was very quick to give it. And then when everybody's appealing, he's just waving away. He's not even saying they'll check it.
He's already got that call in his yellow, hasn't he? Because they check everything.
Yeah, but you automatically hear them saying, well, they check it. They're given that reassurance that if it's a penalty, they'll tell me, kind of thing. But for me, he's adamant that it's not.
The referee's in constant communication with Stocksy Park, isn't he? Because you hear when you watch them on like the what do you call him? Not Dermot Gallagher.
It's Dermot Gallagher, yeah, on record.
And you hear them like I've seen it on when they share them on Instagram, and you can see the referee going up. That looks like it was which one was it? The Joe Linton handball at Tottenham. And straight away, you can see as it happens, the conversation happening. So the referee, as soon as that tackle's given, will be saying like, "Oh, he's won the ball corner," and the two lads are going, "Oh, hang on a second."
And I think it's because the ball's gone out of play. Then you have that bit of moment to think, right?
Yeah,
they've got plenty of time here to look at it.
Helpful that it goes straight out. Like,
yeah. Did you hear that? I'm not going to. We might come on it just over conversation, but the incident at the Wolves game, right, that sending off, which has been talked about a lot.
Mm.
Jamie Carragher was banging on about how when VAR can get involved. And I have to say, I wasn't quite sure. And then something you've just said there made us think of this. So, you know how obviously Lee Hendry's point of view of the other decision was maybe the VAR should have said, you might want to come and have a look at this. But apparently they're not allowed to do that. And apparently if the referee describes what he believes has happened and he's correct in that. So, for example, you're saying there that he believes that. So the referee could have said, I think he has hit Isak, but it's not enough for him to go down. VAR may not have called him over the mountain to have a look because in actual fact, there was contact, because there was, right?
Yeah.
But because he has said to the VAR, he would have said,
I'm confident in my decision.
I'm confident that's a corner. He's won the ball and it's a corner. Clearly that has not happened. So that's why they've called him over.
Is that where the whole re-referee and the
and that's why apparently what Oliver had said to their VAR was exactly what happened. Literally, he didn't say anything wrong, and they were like, well, actually, then it becomes, it's my opinion against yours. Like, I might believe it's a sending off, but what you have said has happened is true. He was breaking away, he's clipped his heels, I'm sending him off. Well, actually, everything you've said is true. So that's it was just an interesting point, I thought, and because if the ref had said, I do believe there's contact, but not enough to go down, we may not get that penalty.
Yeah.
The reason he looked at VAR is because he said it was a corner, and categorically, he never touched the ball. So then it goes to VAR. I hope that makes sense.
This gets onto the co-commentator. Because the co-commentator, to this very second, thinks this is one of the worst decisions he's ever seen.
Oh, an absolute miscarriage of justice.
He was going off it.
Efan Koku, it was, apparently.
Yeah, it was.
Yeah.
He was not a happy bunny him. Like, it was such a weird game to listen to a co-commentator, because it was like he hated her and he had some sort of affiliation to Southampton, but he doesn't at all, as far as I'm aware. Like, none whatsoever, you know. And like, even with us either, nothing. But he's gone for it, and he was going, nah, no idea why the referee's been called them on one of the worst decisions. Absolutely shocking, embarrassing. I'm going,
he was heartbroken.
What?
He was absolutely. It was such a.
May I have a bet on or something?
Like,
he really
honestly,
wouldn't. It was like he kind of, you know, when people double down when they're in an argument and they kind of think, I'm wrong here, but I can't, like, just like Mark. Yes, it was exactly like that.
But Besty, it was to the point where throughout the game he had a right beanie's bonnet, and like later on in the game when I know I'm jumping ahead here, but when Southampton scored the goal which was ruled offside, he was going, I wouldn't be surprised if they don't put the lines on the field here.
Yes, he was. He was.
Really?
There was a point where he goes,
well, I mean, they would. That's their job.
He was looking at it and he was going, oh, well, Lewis Hall's the last man there. And Lewis Hall was something like the fourth last man. It was Jacob Murphy's not even. Wow. It was nothing like Lewis Hall. It could have been Sissoko and Shelby.
Well, to be fair, but I did mute it after the penalty. Yeah. Once I heard him kicking off, I was like, I don't need to have you in my life today.
So
weird. I just turned him off.
It was weird.
It was quite generous. Another at little points there on, I thought, like, oh, that's nice of him to say.
He was quite generous with about midfield three, wasn't he, throughout the game?
But, so he should be.
I was watching Optus Sports.
Baffled. That's what I was on. Optus, isn't it? I was on that. Yeah. But you just weird
commentators.
Weird. But I was thinking, is he upset because we're signing Carl Court instead of him? And Carl Court left a year or two later, so it can't be that. I'm the same as you, Kris. I'm thinking, what have we done to Efan Koku?
Do you find it mad though? Like I suppose there's that many channels out there now, but like him as a commentator, it just seems weird.
I think it's not up to sports.
It's a Premier League coverage.
So the Premier League have got that the teams like whatever, and you get like. That's why you get like the same kind of. It's a pool of so many of them.
Yeah.
And the co-commentators are the same, so it just so happens that
because
you can look online, you can look see what games he's done.
Well, it sounds like his new job's going to be for Southampton's FC TV or something. He's going to be on their home channel, I think. Like,
honestly, it was so strange.
Bizarre. It was. There's no. It was like listen to Don Goodman.
Yeah, but he genuinely hates me because he's a Mackham.
But no, he hates Sunderland as well. Apparently. I've seen people come here like people.
So is everybody.
I've seen Sunderland fans saying that Don Goodman doesn't give us out either. Like, so it's weird.
Loves Wolves.
Maybe he left them under it.
Loves Wolves.
It's honestly, it was just like a really peculiar game to listen to. Like it blew my mind. Like it really did. But anyway, I think he had a couple of outbursts about the referee and VAR not putting lines on the field. But yeah,
it's a good job he wasn't watching that the Wolves and Arsenal game. Then, eh?
I want to watch. Do you know what it is? He could have his own TV series just watching referees' decisions.
Get them wrong.
Get him up against one where the ball goes out of play. Corner.
Well,
Arsenal fans against us.
They were saying
his head will explode.
Mike Oliver seen a lot of abuse. I don't know if you've seen it.
Because of that.
It may be off Efan Koku. It may be he might be kicking off.
What do you think, Miller Arsenal? What do you think that was on that?
Oh my God, no. Not a million years.
He runs his.
You can see why he gives it in slow motion.
He runs his studs down his calf a little bit. Like
his foot's high, but I think it's.
I don't think he's trying to.
Yeah,
do that, but
it happens that quickly, and I think he's just trying to stop and break.
It's the tactical yellow foul, yellow card, sorry, which I have to say, sometimes even asking, he goes, you know what it is? Should send someone off for that because it's so blatant.
Well, do it all
but
the
I
time.
get it. Yeah.
But he's that close to it. He sees the studs, and that's what he says on the VR. I mean, you can literally see it.
Yeah, I've only seen it.
He goes straight away. You can see it to the camera. It's like red card. He's gone down the back of his leg.
He does a bit as well. Like I think it's
he does, but it's
a very soft one. Like if it's a red, it's a very soft red card. I'm not convinced.
I seen Martinez go 2-footed last night. Did anyone see the Fulham game?
I saw that.
He's done that 2 or 3 times.
Hey, that's more dangerous than anything I've seen.
He doesn't connect.
Did you see?
That's what gets away with.
It was Toure, wasn't it? Like,
I was, yeah.
And Toure put a thing on Instagram after saying, "I'll see it. Maybe you'll get us next time." Like Martinez scored the winner.
I know, yeah.
Toure's giving it 6 out. Oh, maybe next time you'll get a better. I was like, mate, Martinez scored and you lost. Like, how I know?
Yeah, I did think it was a mental decision. Like, but
there's a good comment in saying that it's one of those challenges where it's kind of 2 yellows in one challenge.
Yeah,
I'm not sure it is.
It's a yellow card
because I can see it being justifiably a red card, but then you see yellow cards not getting given for worse. I think sometimes
if Bruno or shit, I'm telling you now, if Bruno got sent off on Saturday for that, the comments would be on fire. Yeah. Fire, saying this is a disgrace. And it would be a disgrace. It's not a red card. It's not.
Arsenal fan there, man. So.
It's not a red card. Like.
I think if it hadn't have been like the way he is from behind it, he is just trying to clip his ankle or something like
he's
that.
Not trying to hurt him, is he? He's not trying to.
Whereas if he comes in from the side and has the same sort of motion, that's a dangerous tackle.
If he's closer to him as well.
But then, and I think that's what he's seeing when he's giving it.
What's the deadline for them changing their mind? Because
it's got to appeal it.
They must appeal it
today, and
because it's an automatic 3-match ban, isn't it? Yeah. So straight red.
3 matches for that.
That's why he's getting all of the abuse because he misses Man City and he misses the semi.
Somehow Joe Linton's going to come up in this and go, look what he does on a football pitch in 90 minutes, and he's getting sent off for that. That's what the Arsenal fans will start saying.
Back now again, so Isak gets up to take the penalty.
Oh.
Lovely finish. Isak just has
always. Penalty, though, isn't it?
Speaking of Arsenal,
we'll get on to that as well. There's a comment about that as well. But it's Isak's penalties techniques. It's so peculiar, but he scores.
It's wonderful. At least he connected properly with this one. He didn't miss it.
Sometimes he does miss kicking, but it's great.
To me, his entire body, everything is going that corner.
Yeah.
And then at that last second, it's a wonderful penalty.
He does from the look up at the end.
Everything looks like he's going to that corner where the keeper goes, but he went the other way.
The short match of the day, so he has a look up at the start, and I'm thinking, let's don't give it away. Like, I want to score more of these.
You're absolutely right. Yeah, Shearer was like, oh, look at these eyes, look at this. I'm like, whoa, Alan, man, shut up, man. We don't want people watching this. You know what I mean?
But yeah, it's a couple of minutes afterwards. Then
we need to take some time on this goal.
Yeah. So a couple of minutes afterwards, then we'll go 2-1 up. And we're putting this down to Jacob Murphy because that pass is sensational.
Oh, mate,
unbelievable.
It's
sensational. As soon as we win the ball back, they Dan Berman's a header on halfway. And I was looking at a thing on Reddit today, and someone says that well, again, it's about Miggy was the main point, but it was who's the best thing that Eddie Howe ever did was get a tune out Miggy. Because he's like terrible and all that. Like, I don't agree with all that. But I think one of the best things Eddie Howe's done is what's happened to Jacob Murphy over the past 2 months. Yeah. And let's not forget, at the start of the season, he was getting dogs abuse. I mean,
still is.
Off Deka for the most part. Like, but like, the way he hops over that, wins the ball, hops over the challenge, and then the pass.
Pass is excellent.
That's sublime.
And that we will get on to
defense.
Best touch.
First touches
of all time.
Second. Sex. Absolute sex.
But anyway, Murphy does tremendously well there, man. Like, he really, really does. I used to criticize my mate for this, where he would get the ball in them areas, right? And he might burst forward, but then he'd want to probably take on the same player again. And it's all good on the eye, and I used to laugh about it. But the way Murphy just collects the ball, has that burst of pace, but to find that pass, it's outstanding. And Craig Hope, I was laughing today, and he's probably tongue in cheek. Did you see he was saying Andy Cole had Beardsley? Isak's got Jacob Murphy. I was like,
when you
settle down,
the thing is when you look at all the stats this season, Isak and Murphy have got the second best partnership in the Premier League.
After it was De Bruyne, no, Salah and was it De Bruyne and Haaland maybe? Cole Palmer and Madueke.
Oh God, I can't
De Bruyne and Haaland. Liverpool, Salah and Gakpo, something like that.
I'd imagine it'd probably be Salah. I would think, given the amount of goals he scored. But anyway, I mean, he's top 2, right?
It's an incredible first touch, wasn't it?
Oh my God.
Yeah, so players to assist each other the most. You've got there's the combination of other four, which is all got 5, which is Salah, Gakpo, Palmer, Madueke, Palmer, Jackson, Rogers, Watkins, Villa, and Isaac and Murphy.
That was the one.
The 7
for 5.
7.
Oh, 7.
Rest of them got 5.
Outstanding. Really, but I'm telling you, I don't believe there's many players though. And this is not a slight on. I'm not saying Murphy's bad, but the pass is brilliant. But it's whipped. You know, it's fizzed in there. Do you know what I mean? That first touch, man. It's absolutely. I kept winding it back. What a first touch that is. It was Thierry Henry, man. It was Thierry Henry. Sorry, Arsenal fan.
Oh, we're back against Arsenal again.
But it was.
It was Henry. It was
that
right.
first
touch.
Ball. That was like, oh man.
Are we classing this goal as a one-on-one opportunity for Isaac?
Yes. 100%. And it's about time he scored one.
Yeah,
it's one-on-one.
It's a weird one because he doesn't kind of break through and have like 10 yards running out the keeper. He takes a touch and puts it away. So.
And is that why he scores it?
You're not trying to how he shaded his door here, are you?
Well,
he's the best in the world, man.
How many times this season, not just this season, have we seen him miss
early in the season? There was loads.
No, I get it.
It's really similar to the finish to the one he scored at Ipswich. Really similar.
Okay, yeah.
Far better, obviously, the first touch is like the only touch I'll say is my second favourite ever first touch because my favourite is Joe Linton against Tottenham a couple of years ago. When Shea plays over the top and he just takes it on the outside his right foot.
Was that his first goal?
And he just kind of moves it with one touch.
Oh, yeah, it's a lovely. Yes.
Beautifully.
Yeah, it's a lovely sunny day that as well.
It was. I was in the executive box as well for that one.
Oh, lovely. What, the new Spurs stadium, man? Was it?
No, it was St James's.
Joe Linton's first goal?
When we beat him 6, not his first ever goal.
Oh, sorry.
His first goal. Right. Joe Linton's goal in the 6-1.
Were you talking about that one?
Yeah,
sorry.
When we beat him 6-1 a couple of years ago.
Right, I got you.
The ball, Shea plays the ball over the top.
Right.
He gets on the last man, just kind of fell, just beautiful little touch under control, run the keeper in the back.
I was thinking more the away again.
I think that was the second goal that year.
Next goal though.
No, the second goal.
This is
definitely a one-on-one.
I was still going back. So
I don't know if it is a one-on-one. You know,
which one? Oh, Isaac. I'm saying one-on-one. Like,
second, I don't think. The first one's technically a one-on-one in it because it's a penalty. But the
second one's what he's one-on-one with the keeper.
I see. It's like he's broke through. It's like.
This sounds like a goal line clearance, 6-yard box. It sounds like one of these arguments again. Is a goal line clearance?
There's one of them in the
there
game
is,
as
isn't
well.
there? Yeah. There is actually.
Towards the end,
it's one-on-one. Like,
I think I would call it a one-on-one. Like.
So you're thinking one-on-one that's got more time. You're thinking the time.
See, that's why I'm torn on it because
it's not really important.
He's one-on-one with the keeper.
He does get it in and he goes through, but it's
one-on-one.
It's from the edge of the box. It's very quick. Has he just not got the time to think about it? And it's a very good.
Are you
finish.
thinking he's got the CCs about him, like that? He instinct he'll score, but if he's got time, that's it.
I mean, that's what my eyes are telling me.
Okay, man.
CC is where I was going to. I'm not saying he's the same footballer as CC, but CC was a similar thing. Where if you give CC the ball 30 yards out, no defender say run to keep a score goal, he wouldn't.
Oh no, he probably scored an own goal.
Yeah. Or he play out his own head and it would love it.
Yeah.
But we'll see that loads.
For me, that's a one-on-one is when you break through a defensive line like that, you're 20, 30 yards out. And you get a couple of touches running to keep a game of wits.
So more like with third goal.
Like Tonali.
Yeah. Tonali's is a one-on-one for me, definitely.
Yeah. Okay, yeah, it is. Yeah.
So he's that second, technically aye.
Yeah.
But
it's a wonderful finish, though, eh? It's a wonderful finish.
But the bottom line, it doesn't really matter.
Yeah.
No, it doesn't. But what I would say, though, is like, because you sometimes in their moments, Isak may take another touch, right? Or maybe another one.
Yeah.
Whereas this one was the best touch of all time and then finish. It was just bang bang. It was unbelievable goal.
Which
beautiful.
I think the next goal is a very good comparison to what we've just discussed there. So once again, great football, like absolutely fantastic. Southampton were in bits at this point. Everything we touched, they were shitting their pants at one point. And so it's Isak wins the header, doesn't he? He runs up, wins the header, knocks it on, and it's Gordon's first. Just one touch.
Tonali wins the header.
Tonali wins it, yes.
Tonali sends it.
Isak knocks it at Gordon. Gordon's first touch is a pass where Tonali's still running from when he first initially touched it. His one and only touch, apart from when he strikes the ball, is perfect, which leads to what we're saying. Sometimes Isak might take a couple of more touches in that moment.
Possibly, yeah.
Where Tonali, it's just weighted perfectly.
Yeah.
He just sends the keeper as well.
That's what I was going to mention. It. We're talking about Isak giving the keeper the eyes. Tonali right the way up until his foot touches that ball. He's sending the keeper. The keeper even goes that way.
Yeah.
And honestly, it
was a bit like Isak's penalty in that regard. That his whole body, eyes, hair, everything is going. I'm going that corner, mate, and then I'm going that way. It was just wonderful.
Tonali does it. See, he opens his body up. And you can see Is a keeper going, he's going to go across us here. So you put your weight in your right foot and get ready. It's gone.
But he just whips it in the opposite corner. He's just a fabulous footballer, isn't he?
Going back to the very start of it when he wins the header.
Yes.
To win that header.
Yeah.
And he just doesn't stop.
He goes flying, doesn't he?
It reminds us loads, because actually it was from a really similar part of the pitch of Gascoigne's against Scotland, 96.
Yeah.
Obviously, very different. Quite similar to the way the interplay was on the left-hand side and stuff. Left eye. Obviously, the finish is different. But the way Tonali wins it on halfway, actually inside our half, and then just goes. And you can see one of the Southampton midfielders like point a little bit, but the game's gone. Like there's no one.
And there's not many players you would think, from that sort of in that moment he's playing that holding role to win that ball.
Yeah,
would win the ball and it goes to Isak and he may go right. My job's done. Like I've done my job. He's up there now. But for him to have the sort of the audacity or the vision to keep me run going,
I think you've seen that.
That whole gap. It was the size of
it. You must have just looked up and went, there's literally nobody there.
But the way the two touches then came about was just majestic, wasn't it? How it touched them
with Sandro as well, right? That you don't really hear people talk about much. He's really quick.
Yeah,
he's not like
and it was late on as well.
He's not like Kieran Dyer fit, but he's for a centre midfielder. People talk all the time about how Bruno's kind of like he's not an athlete, is he? And all that. Like Big Joe's not quick, but Sandro's fast. Like
yeah. And he's
just getting better and better.
He's so week. He's wonderful.
I'm so happy, and we've said this many that we've found the balance of the three of them in there, and now it's unbreakable, right?
See that when he was that wing when he was coming down the tunnel as well.
That was lovely, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was. Yeah. He's just a wonderful human.
What was the number 7 about?
I thought he did an 8.
It was a 7, I think. It was 4 and 3. That's why it took so long to get it right.
No, I thought he'd done a 5 and a 3. I thought he was just saying number 8 or something like that.
I thought number 7. It was 4 and 3. It'll be in the comments. We'll find out.
He was a Dan Burn dig.
Might be a bet or something.
Stop it. Stop it.
It was his 7th bed builder win or something.
Because it wasn't his 7th goal, was it? He scored 2 against.
Oh, yes, he scored 7.
So that was his 2nd league game, wasn't it?
Somebody will probably tell me in the comments.
Southampton, then 2 in the cup against.
And this is, and I don't. Oh, I shouldn't. No, I'm not going to say it. Doesn't matter. Move on.
Go on.
Just say it.
No, it's just like if we had Longstaff on there, right?
Mm-hmm.
He ain't doing that, is he? Like what I mean about the difference in quality.
No, you're right. He's not.
Like he's just not going to do that.
I love the lad, but
he might win the header. Don't get us wrong, but he ain't going to have the end. He's not going to be able to do that. Like, carry on his run and finish like that.
I would say that he's done it a few times.
I've never seen. God bless you, Sean, but
it's clear as day.
And that's what I mean by like it really does not bring you on as a team, doesn't it? When you've got someone as good as that.
He's a proper world class footballer.
He really is.
He is. Like a real. We've got a few of them now as well.
You see, Merson.
You don't captain AC Milan. You don't play for Italy if you're a bad footballer.
And I think that was what was frustrating on our behalf, though. I said here a few times, going, "How the fuck can he not get in the team?" And we were starting the likes of Longstaff. No offense, Sean, if you're watching, but like you had an AC Milan captain, you paid 60, 50 million, whatever it is, and this guy's not getting a kick. Now, obviously, some of it was his own fault, but when he was back fit, we're like, right now, play him. Do you know what I mean? You've got to give him a run in the team, and I know we've reshuffled things.
Yeah,
probably true.
Because he's trained the whole year. Had a couple of injuries apparently during the 10-month ban.
I think. Do you know what it is? I think that's massively helped the fact he was allowed to continue.
Oh yeah,
training and play football alongside the club as well. Because if it had been the other way around, like it was Tony, that was completely I think we would have been having a different story, and it would have taken him a lot longer.
But seen Tony's when he came back, he didn't really scored a couple, but he didn't do a great deal.
But if you look at him now, he's an absolute athlete.
He's unbelievable.
Like Sandro, Lord above, yes, he is.
He's proper box to box.
So I know why I said number 7. I've got 2 reasons. I'll tell you the incorrect one first, which I found quite funny. Craig Lee said it was his table number at Wetherspoons. But the real reason, because I'm guessing it's a real reason, because there's a couple of comments which I mentioned the same.
I'm guessing there's something to do with these lads.
No, it was dedicated to a Milan player, apparently good mates, and on the phone to each other, and they said the next goal they're going to score, they're going to dedicate it to that person. And that player wears number 7.
Oh, really?
Apparently so.
Wow.
That's nice.
For Milan, yeah? For Milan. Was it a Milan player?
An injury or something?
I'm guessing so.
Did you see I'm sorry, I'm changing the subject because it's Milan. You see Walker's obviously saying for Milan. Do you see the number he chose?
No.
He chose Beckham's 32 when Milan went
back
Milan. And he said, I've chose it for another England icon. It's because of the England icon.
Beckham. Just how many kids he's got.
It's not because of Lauren Robert.
No, he said Becks. Beckham's the greatest man ever. So
he's like the greatest. Man, he's alright. I like Beckham as a coach. I do like Beckham. You only picked 23.
You probably hate him now.
23 mustn't have been available when he went.
It wasn't available now, so he got 32.
I seen was talk hits up them going for someone else on loan, but they've only loaned one Englishman.
That's right. Yes,
that's really weird.
It was Rashford. It was Rashford.
It was Rashford. Yes, that's right.
Mind you, his agents and that have shot themselves in the foot. They haven't a bit.
Rashford's.
Yeah, a little bit. I know. Sorry, I know we're not a Man United podcast, but like obviously, Almiron's not having him which he's not very good. He doesn't put it in.
He's very good, but he just doesn't try anymore.
He doesn't try.
I did find these comments quite
hilarious, weren't they? But
bizarre,
they were bizarre. But you see what he said about the staff and that. I put the
Almiron's-
goalkeeping coach on.
Well, he said he would pick the coaches ahead of anyone that doesn't try. It wasn't like, oh, Rashford shit, I'm going to. But it was heavily implied. Like, I like Almiron, me. Like,
I do as well. Yeah,
He's very honest, isn't he?
I kind of
maybe too
I
much.
want
I
him to
think.
succeed,
I do
but not
like
in this
him.
job. I'd like to see him go back to, or go somewhere else.
But
That
you
isn't
think
Man U and do well.
Rashford's agents have went, all right, and if you don't want us, we'll find somewhere else, and no one's taking you. But not on the money. He's on 300 grand a week, man.
Nah.
No one's touching that.
His attitude stinks.
He's gone a bit down the
Like-
route of I think it was Dasmo that mentioned this the other week, where when Moyes went at Sunderland, then is he? Oh, we're in a relegation fight before that.
Yeah.
He kicked the ball.
Well, mate, we when he went, this might be the worst Man United team in
I
history.
know.
Like, fuck.
Mind, I've been saying
I
that.
love it.
he's not wrong.
No,
I've been saying that every season for the past 4 or 5 years, but maybe it's longer. But them every year they get worse. They're
Just progressively
not
getting
great
worse.
now, like,
yeah. No, no.
Sorry,
Goes
Chris,
against
I
it,
digest.
I can't even remember what we're talking about. Oh yeah, but anyway.
Digest.
So just to
I wonder
wrap
what that rumbling noise was.
just to wrap that game up, it's just great. Yes, when you're going into this game, it was a good one. You're probably picking that one to bounce back against the defeat against Bournemouth as well. But once again, we mention it all the time. You can only beat what's in front of you. Once again, coming back from a goal down as well, sensational. Some individual fantastic performances on there as well. We haven't even mentioned Bruno. I thought Bruno had a great game as well. But tonight,
It could have been more than 3 as well. To be fair,
Joe Linton hit
Murphy
the
hit the
post.
post.
Murphy hit the post.
twice.
Murphy, well, Joe Linton was offside, wasn't he?
Yeah.
When he hit the post, Murphy did really well.
Murphy's was a great.
He's
I'll
left
tell you
as
what,
well.
we haven't,
He can do that.
what we
he does
haven't
that quite
mentioned though,
What are we not mentioning?
their disallowed goal.
With Fabian, yeah,
What
had
is
a moment,
Fabian
didn't he?
doing?
Yeah,
Had a moment.
Yeah, he has had a moment. They got away with it. It's all that
Yeah.
doesn't matter. But I
In
was
his blind spot. We've all had those sort of moments in the car where
It was strange, wasn't it? He just
what do you
kinda-
call it? The
Yeah,
structure of your
yeah.
car's
Poor.
blocking your vision. You nearly crash into
Your
somebody.
ear pillar.
Yeah,
Yeah,
we've all done it.
Well, we're lucky there. Like on
Yeah.
that moment, But back to winning ways.
Yeah, I mean, they had a lot of the ball at the end, but it looked like we were just kind of sitting back, 2-goal lead, going like, well, they're not going to get through it.
All right. Well, that's why we're not dickheads like Spurs.
Conserving energy.
Where them Spurs will be 3-1 up and they try and get 7, and then they're 3-3. Do you know what I mean?
It's
we
great
just-
as a fan. Like, it's ironically, it's normally Spurs that we do that against. as
Aye,
well.
true. But you get 3-1 up and you just shut up shop in a way. You're just
Do you-
comfortable.
Always feel a little bit bad when Isaac's on a brace and he gets taken off.
It happens quite a lot, doesn't it? As well, yeah. It does
Yeah.
seem to happen a lot. Yeah,
He
it
had a long
does.
time to get his third, though, didn't he? It's not like he was pulled off straight away. Like, he gave him a good.
I just think that
Seen
that,
to.
that tactic for me is if we're 2 goals ahead in the game, he comes off because
At the minute,
you
yeah.
need to wrap him up in cotton wool.
Yeah.
Tell you what,
Particularly when we've got 2 games in a week coming. Well, 3 technically. in a
Absolutely
week
right. Big
coming
game
up.
as well.
Yeah.
next
I remember
Wednesday.
there was one of the cup games. Or there was the Brom. I can't remember what game it was, but we were ahead by a long way, and he's still the 60th minute, the 70th minute.
Yeah.
Get him off!
Leicester at home, maybe.
Just get him off, man.
Yeah.
Like you know what I mean?
I've noticed today as well. I think the BBC put it on one of the things that he's now a second top Premier League scorer as well. Got
Yeah,
40.
he is 40.
It's good. It's weird that we've got to Shearer's number 1, and number 2 and 3 are still at the club now. He's at Wilson.
Yeah.
Obviously, Wilson's not played for since Shearer, pretty
4
much.
years.
Yeah.
But it kind of shows where we are at the minute.
Did you see Demba had a little tongue-in-cheek pop at Shearer?
No, did he?
Aye, so obviously Shearer on Saturday night was waxing lyrical about Isaac and all of that kind of thing, and then he'd went and done an interview with him
With Demba,
with Isaac.
right?
Who done the interview? Shearer.
Shearer went
Right, okay.
to interview Isaac.
What was Demba Bar doing?
So I don't know. I'll get on to it.
From strawberry syrup.
Yeah, drink the syrup.
Loves it. Still
So
does.
Shearer had put on like Twitter and stuff like that he was going off to interview Isaac on his red hot striking form, second leading goal scorer for Newcastle. So Demba replied back to Shearer's tweet saying, "Hold on, you never came and seen me when I was on my red hot scoring spree for Newcastle."
I done my scored once.
So obviously he
What
was
a
just
song that
he was just having a laugh, but he said, "But it's great to see us doing so well," which I thought was nice.
Good story, that, Mark.
I love them, mate.
I do as well, you know.
Aye,
I love Demba Bar, mate.
Yeah, I love
It's
them,
good
mate.
when he went to Chelsea.
There was one recently where someone put on Twitter about he's still drinking strawberry syrup. It was after the Arsenal game. I think it says, "I'll drink with good win." It's like, Demba loves it. Get him home. Bring him home.
Man.
Actually, so don't bring people home. Maxie's falling out of flavour. Flavour syrup
Aye,
again.
with
And,
Mourinho,
Fenerbahce,
aye.
Nice
yeah.
little segue that, Bestie, because we have had a question in. We'll go through the rest of the
Who
questions.
would have
I
ever
thought-
envisaged that
I
happening?
thought Mark was on his phone before as he put the question in.
Did Joe say bring him into Fenerbahce? I was already there.
No, he brought
Jose
it.
signed,
Yeah,
yeah.
that's right, yeah.
So we do have other questions before this. Josh has sent in a donation as well, so we'll go through those in just a moment. But because it's topical right now, Besty NUFC has said, lads, how do you think St. Maximum would be getting on now if he had stayed? So obviously it's on the back of there's not necessarily being a fallout at Fenerbahce, but Mourinho just doesn't fancy him anymore. He's just not pulling his weight, apparently.
He's still playing.
Never. You're joking. I don't believe
Well,
it.
He's still getting his game, isn't he?
He was playing canny, but the problem, he's never going to put it in to the levels that Mourinho was.
We called
It's
it from day one.
Of course we did. I mean, I remember when the signing
Even
happened.
in Turkey.
We knew it would. Know what I mean? Attitude-wise, he'll be late for training every day, man. He was for us.
Yeah.
That's what I mean. I'm not necessarily saying his performances might not be. Maybe they're not up to scratch, right? I'm not saying that either. But
Yeah, he hasn't been doing particularly well.
But what I'm thinking is like if his attitude coming in perhaps late and stuff, just being who he is, Mourinho ain't gonna. It's not gonna work. It's just gonna work. But up to the question, any difference in Barnes? I don't know. I can't really. Barnes has had some wonderful glimpses of moments. No question of that. He's saved with many times coming off the bench, scoring goals, etc. But it hasn't.
I was going to say, let's just have a look
No,
at
he has.
Let's just have a look at the goals for tally.
I know he's stick up for him, but I don't think much more difference.
I don't think we can compare them to any other player at the minute. I just think I don't think it would have worked.
I just wish he had have been able to stay after the Champions League. That's the only thing I wanted.
I love
That's
Maxi
all I
as well,
wanted.
but I don't think he's not. If it's not working for Jose, it's not Eddie Howe's.
Oh,
The way
God,
he
I
wants
agree,
his players to play, and he's
Absolutely.
quite regimented and all that. Like he wants. I remember Dan Byrne a while ago saying that you do what you learn in training. You know exactly where you've got to be when the ball's there, when the players are there. And Maxi's not a kind of player.
No, he's
he
not.
never was.
No.
He was more of a
Totally.
maverick, a bit old-fashioned, maybe in that fashion winger where you don't know what he's going to do.
Yep.
Where that's not what you want.
I
That's
think
not what Howe wants.
how was superb in some of the times when he got interviewed when they asked questions about him and his future. And probably the honest truth was exactly what you're saying there. Listen, he's got all the talent in the world, but he's not for me. He doesn't work hard back. He doesn't read
structural
his
thing, yeah.
instructions. But he never said that. How was like, he's a fabulous player, blah, 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 blah. But he was always going to be the sacrifice
I
player.
kind of like we've had Maxi in that moment when Newcastle was shit, though.
Yeah.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah,
Like
yeah.
Wilson, like it was just
It
there.
didn't.
Newcastle
I remember
at the
back-
It
time.
didn't really get the opportunity to go stale like it
Yeah.
does sometimes. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, it would have turned, and it was turning then anyway. Wasn't it,
A
Christ?
few steel performances.
But,
I think you're.
I remember this.
letting time
I remember this
cloud your
Bellend
judgment.
back in the Ashley days. I've got it clips when he said he's the best player in the world. Remember that? And
I actually said
here
this
we go.
will come back to bite me because I knew for a fact he wouldn't keep that up.
Because you would turn against them. I know what you like, Mark.
While we're talking about wingers, because you mentioned there, especially you, Besty, Harvey Barnes. Obviously, we know he is injured, Besty. But we've been a bit back and forward with this conversation where we're thinking, why did we ever sign Harvey Barnes when you've got Gordon? But then he was scoring goals. And we're thinking, oh, well, you can understand why now. Where we're on this line at the minute.
Still the same. I think Gordon's still first choice. I think Barnes, if he'd have been fit, would have come on for the last. Because Gordon went up front for a bit, didn't he? When he went up on Saturday, Gordon went through the middle again.
Gordon moved on the right as well.
I thought Gordon was excellent for the most part, but
Jordan.
with about half an hour left, a bit less, quarter of an hour left maybe, his touch totally deserted him. Everything he tried to do was just bouncing off him and all that. Like, and I think that's a point where if Barnes had come on,
It's like a Bournemouth game all over again.
it was a bit. I think that's the point at which, if you see Harvey Barnes come on, you might get a fourth. You know, I think Barnes is. I've never really questioned the value of buying. I think it's been I won't say it's been a great purchase, but I'd sooner have him as not. And I think you've got to have, if Gordon's not fit, you're then looking at Joe on the left, Joe Willock maybe, who can do a job, but on Harvey Barnes, I think Barnes has got a bit more offer.
Two players you mentioned, I don't think we've seen the best of Willock or Barnes this season.
Willock really struggled this year.
Willock's really struggled. I know he's had injuries, but even when he's come back in, he's had the odd glimpse here and there in games, but he's not the Willock that we kind of know he can be.
From a couple of seasons ago now, it feels like it hasn't quite.
I think them two players, but they are good players. And listen, right, the argument always is why do we sign left winger? And I said this a lot because we got rid of my mate. Well, then bought Gordon, which I got, and then you can't buy another one. But what I will say though, you've got to try and build a squad, right? You've got to try and have a squad because if something happened bad to, I know Barnes is out now, so someone might throw this back at us. But if something happened to Gordon, goodness me, if you've got Barnes to rely on as a fully, you're now our starting left winger. It's a fabulous option. You know what I mean?
His first team,
a no-brainer just to go buy him.
He's quality, and I think
I think we questioned Mark though. Truthfully, I think we all did say, "Well, it's a lot of money to pay," and like I do think we had that
because we were looking over the right hand side of the field at that time.
If you were given the choice, you would have strengthened on the right hand side. But it's very much like the Isak situation. he became available at a price we were willing to do a deal.
Yeah.
That's what it
We'd
is.
said no
Gordon,
at that point,
Gordon was the
we
same.
wouldn't have got him.
I think that's what the club do, Besty. I think they don't force these transfers through early unless that opportunity comes and they're thinking, right, we need to act now. Like you said, we saw it with Gordon, we saw it with Barnes as well.
Isak
as well.
Yeah, was one, yeah.
They got the accelerated, didn't it? And to be fair, I watched that Prime documentary the other day again. I was just bored in the house and I put it on.
Christ, it must have been.
Well, I just wanted to watch the episode when they went after Gordon, and that was, and you'd seen how much they pushed and pushed and pushed for him, especially a man that did. To be fair,
That was actually quite insightful. That bit as it goes,
how much that they wanted to get him, you know. And you're right. I think it's about the Isak signing as well. They had no intention behind him, but when he came at that price, bang.
Well, when Barnes comes back,
when
Barnes comes back, you might find that we'll have a little bit more of he and Gordon need to be a bit more flexible with Miggy looking like he's.
Agree,
you know, because
you've now only got one right winger, right?
Yeah. And Murphy, I rely on him saying fits there in form, and if either of those drops off, which both are pretty likely, I think, to be honest with you.
So we'll stick with him, Bessie. So Miggy's on his way out. We're led to believe, obviously, there's a lot of news outlets now reporting that the fee's being agreed. Now it's just personal terms that need to be decided between Miggy and
they've already talked about medicals being lined
up. Yeah,
for
medicals.
For Bridget Romano,
as well. So Miggy's on his way out. He got a nice little send off from Eddie Howe. I'm not sure if you've seen the video, but the lads are doing the lap, going over the way fans, and Miggy's at the back, just keeping himself to himself.
Yeah.
But then Eddie Howe comes over and pushes him towards the fans.
Man, the same thing happened to Arsenal with the Bravka.
Dubravka's still here. But nice little moment for Miggy. Shame that he didn't get his goal. He came close.
Oh, yeah, that would have been nice.
Best bit of football I've seen him do this season.
Had the shot with his right foot as well. That would have been great.
But how are you looking back on Miggy? Because I know you're pretty defensive when it comes to Miggy, and he's
just show him on his right foot. It's that easy to be defensive with Miggy.
The shit that he gets from certain sections of the fan base.
I think Miggy he's limited, right? So we know that he hasn't really got a right foot to speak of. That's for more than standing on. Decision making at times has been dreadful, and he's looked this season. He's looked like he's kind of ready to go. The games I've seen him where he's come on, he hasn't really looked like part of the setup anymore. But I look back and like that season we sat here every week and talked about Trippier, Miggy and Bruno and the little triangle they had. The goal he scored at Craven Cottage at October, the volley against Palace where Bruno plays him down the line at St James's. That goal against PSG, that run of games he went, right?
First
11 or 12.
There's a way stands in my mind when it was a really big game at the time for the top four. And I think he might have scored two, actually. Certainly the second.
I think he got one.
Wonderful.
He got one. Wilson got one. He lobbed Lloris.
Burnt them on the outside and cut inside and scored.
And he had that. And I mean, they were kind of the exception, weren't they? He was never. He had that chance when his debut against Huddersfield, where he hit the post, where he loved the keeper, and thought like, "Oh, this could be a player." Yeah, took him a year to score with Palace, so he's opened his account.
Yeah, that one, Chris.
Stop
it. But I'm not going to say that he's a world beater. He's the best player in the world, or like that. But it's something else. I had a bit of a conversation about this on Blue Sky a couple of days ago. Like we signed him when we were like relegation fodder. Basically, we'd just come up. Was our second season up? Third season up? Second season up it was.
Do you have them the same time as Rondon?
Rondon is because Rondon, Perez, and Miggy was like the Spanish speaking kind of, and we weren't great. Rondon had a good season. We kind of, he was signed to kind of keep up basically.
It was a record at the time. Well, Ashley, wasn't it? Because it was like
he took Michael Owen's record, and that would we'll keep on doing it every belt. I think I've looked at these like, but I'm fond of Miggy. I don't think I'm not going to look back at him the way you look back on like Ginola, Shearer, the great top like that. Maybe he's not even a tier beneath that, but he's done a job for it. He's been here for 7 seasons, is it?
A long time.
6 seasons. And there's times when I've been as exasperated as anyone else. I think that chance against Milan, where if he takes up his right foot, we'll go through to the second round in Champions League. He didn't, and we went out finished bottom instead. And that's kind of what you get with Miggy. That's what we got with him. But I like him. He ran his arse off for it. And even that thing with Eddie Howe at the weekend there, where he was at the back and Howe said like, "Oh, he's quite a humble bloke and all that. He doesn't want to be." But it's nice that he got his flowers, as they say. He got a bit of recognition in the crowd, because the crowd hasn't always been on side with Miggy. We haven't always been on side with him, like. But I like him, and I don't think as I say, I'm not. When my boys are older, I'm not going to be going for Miguel Almiron, lads. I'll get a YouTube video about him. But he's played a big part in where we are now. So I like Miggy.
Well, I don't know. You could show a good 6-month purple patch of the highlights of his goals, because
he scored.
I don't think
he's going through at the minute.
I don't think it was quite 6 months. I think 6 games maybe.
I shouldn't really compare him with that. Shouldn't really compare him with other players, right? But I see likes of like I have a feeling, no, I feel he was going to leap over the table here, but like, you know, when I hear stories about James Perch, right? Not a single bad word said about him ever, right?
He was hopeless for a long time as well.
Jesus Christ, here he was horrific, man.
Remember his first? Come on, his first 5 games, he got beat 5 times, scored no goal.
Yeah, how I'm not having this. I'm not having Miggy put in the same bracket as James Perch.
What I'm saying though is like people. I don't understand.
I think he's seen another thing. Yeah.
What Besty's saying is like he was limited 100%, right? But he absolutely gave everything he had every time he put on that shirt, and he played in some horrific sides, right? Horrific teams. And hey, I've got nothing bad to say about him. Yes, I wish I had a better right foot. Fair enough, fair enough. But every time he went on, he gave it his all. He ran his socks off. He played a huge part in that Champions League success run. All the best, mate. Like 100%, all the best.
You knew what you were going to get with him. He smiled. He played with a smile on his face. Yeah. He was the happiest little lad out on that pitch, even though he's 48 now. But you knew what you were going to get. He would run through walls for you. He'd do anything that he could to get up and down that right hand side. Occasionally the left and the middle when he was put there in the early days. But yes, he wasn't the greatest, but he was a bloody trier. And he tried.
He didn't have to work hard coming backwards.
He did a lot of that.
He would run in and fill in and tackle someone and stuff.
I remember a time fairly recently where I was thinking, Christ, if he goes, haven't you got a player that works like that? Obviously, the team's changed now. And kind of, I don't think the first team will miss him really because of what we're like now.
We're not going down the route of
a little bit of depth maybe on the bench and all that. But I'm glad he's going to Atlanta as well. I'm glad he's going back home. I'm quite a romantic bloke like that. That works for me. That
but it's still got sometimes going back's never not normally a good thing. It's still nice. I hope it works out for him.
Is Hernandez still there? He's made.
No, I don't think
he's long gone. Any?
Is he dead?
Yeah.
They've still got it. Fortunately, they've still got a picture of him Miggy up in the dressing room, like in Atlanta. But it isn't. I think it's quite nice.
Yeah, well, the one the cup, didn't it? When Miggy was there.
I think that's the picture of him up there. Because when I went, he was up there.
It's good for him to go back there. He's going to be happier there.
Be warmer for him.
You know, you mentioned
not that you probably are, but you better he went there than Saudi.
Yeah,
I am as well.
I think he'd have got more money going to Saudi.
100%, yeah.
But he clearly didn't want to go there. It's given him a little bit of homecoming, going back to a team that he knows. It'll be a nice little rundown for him.
Doesn't have to think about those flights to Paraguay from England.
If they qualify for the World, if they qualify for the World Cup, he's at home.
It's the best stadium ever weekend. Like he knows the area. It's nice for him, I think, and his family to go back there. Like,
no, it's nice. Nice little story in it. Nice little end.
I think so. Yeah.
Watch him stay now. That's it.
Probably. I just don't think there's any need.
Well, you know what? If he did stay,
I wouldn't be happy. I wouldn't be upset. Like
because he's not a bad squad player.
Sadly, it's the PSR thing, isn't it?
Yeah.
That kind of removes the sentimentality of it a little bit because you think, oh God, we could do it.
Does this worry you a little bit, though, Deka, in regards to options that we would have on the right-hand side of the field? Because it's the 27th of January now. Yeah. There's only a few days left. We're not bringing anybody in. Unless it's a last-minute loan deal, I would say.
No, we're not. We're just going to have to hope that we don't.
Hope. Are you actually going to say this? Come on. Keep going.
Hope we don't get any injuries.
Oh,
well, it's a Jake Murphy. Sorry, do you want to say that? Yeah. No, it's true, though. Absolutely.
Words you'd never hear coming out of Deka's mouth.
Right. No, absolutely right. And listen, Murphy's done a phenomenal job filling in there. He really has. Honestly, defied. Listen, in the space of a game, right, he could score a hat-trick, an overhead kick, hit himself in the face, score an own goal. Like, the guy can do anything.
Hit the post.
Like, he's a bundle of tricks, right? You're just not sure what's going to come out sometimes. But he's been absolutely outstanding. But you're right, though. If something happens to him, and Barnes is out as well, right, at the minute. Mm-hmm. All of a sudden, you're thin on the ground. So it's,
But once again, we mentioned we buy players when the opportunity happens. You've got to look at the other way as well.
Well, if they go and buy Semenyo, that would be absolutely wonderful news. And he could do that Spinneroonie for me every Saturday.
Sunderland flop.
Did you see it? It was great.
Sunderland. Yeah, so we only discovered today that Semenyo used to play for Sunderland.
Yeah, I didn't know that. Yeah.
Ian put it in my chat.
No idea.
Yeah. I would
he was
love
absolutely
him.
honking when he was there.
Yeah.
Most players are. I would absolutely love it. But you're talking millions and millions and millions. So.
Yeah, I think Semenyo and Boomo, like the players that you let you get up.
It's like a summer job.
Something I've read, it was Chris Waffle, maybe Luke Edwards at the weekend on about the transfer windows and stuff. And he was saying that the reason that they want to have a bit of a better summer, so they're not doing anything in this, and because obviously there's more time that goes, more likely to do something. I think that But we've been saying this, that I've been convincing myself that the next window's going to be okay for like 2 years now.
Are you with the strategy, Besty? Because I'm thinking of Football Manager here and things like that, right? And I am on this side. I just wonder what your opinion was.
You can talk about sliders again.
Yeah, it's all I've been doing today, to be honest. I'm a sucker for a slider. Is if your business model or your transfer market plan hasn't worked, you go a bit mental in January. Or, because my opinion is, if you have to do something in January, something's gone wrong.
It's panic buying, yeah.
I feel like it is now. Some of that can be... Now, Spurs fans at the minute are kicking off because they've got no players, right? They're all injured. So they need to do something in January. Okay, maybe...
Sack the manager, probably.
Maybe I will get that, right? I'll get on board with that one. But for me, your plan should be summer-driven, right? You get everyone with the preseason, you get... And not everything can work that way, I get that. But I just feel in the January window, if you don't buy anyone, that should be seen as like, okay, like, Well, plans working. Does that make sense? Because I just feel January could be a panic buy. Unless you've got a situation like Gordon, where there's just a wonderful potential player that's come available at a price that
it can work.
Football Manager, I just like signing players. Football Manager,
well,
might not be the best.
Look at Cisse. He was signed January, wasn't he?
Was he sacked as well?
No, Isaac was.
But like a bit late summer.
Bruno, that first window, Bruno, Burn, Trippier.
Yeah.
But
again, though. We
that was totally.
Do you know what I mean? So it's one of that
requirement. Yeah,
it was needed. It was needed because we hadn't bought anyone.
Yeah, we'll push forward and we brought it forward.
But I just feel certainly in this. Listen, if it wasn't for PSR, God Almighty, man, this January window, you'd be holding the door open for players coming in. It would be just wouldn't be shut. But because of the world we're in, I'm fine with that. I think I agree with your comment though that if we do get injuries, we are a bit thin. There's just no getting away from that, right? But there's not many other teams out there able to buy there because of the new rules. I know Man City have spunked a bit of money there now, but
that's something I've seen kind of almost in favour of PSR, is that it's kind of made it more likely that we keep Isaac.
Oh, I totally agree because no one can afford him.
If you're paying now for him north of 100 million, maybe north of 150 million because he's that good. Who's gonna? No one's got that kind of money in the Premier League. Certainly, Madrid might be the exception. They've got Mbappe.
Well, I think in terms of money, like. I'm a big fan of Solanke, by the way, and he gets a lot of heat all the time. But I like Solanke a lot, right? He was 70 million for Spurs. Now, do I think Isak's double him? 100%. 100%.
How much was Ollie Watkins? He's been there a while, hasn't he? Actually, none. So
Watkins been there.
But I think he's been. He's got to be well over 100, like
Chris Wood.
He's worth 100. But no, like and I agree though, because of PSR, there's no one can afford him as much as Sky believe Arsenal can.
Kind of done a favour.
So this is going to be the next question. We're leading into the questions, boys. This is the donation that came from Josh. So thanks very much, Josh.
Cheers, Josh.
He says, "What are your thoughts on journalists at Sky Sports constantly trying to sell Isak to Arsenal? That Mark McAdams bloke's live match report when Isak scored on Saturday was disgraceful. The blatant bias towards the Big Six as a joke." This has been a bit of a talking point in our group today as well, hasn't it?
I missed some of what you were saying, but I
did find the link very strange.
There's different parts of this argument, I think, because am I annoyed that Sky Sports constantly run a feature on Arsenal's interest in Isak? As a Newcastle United fan, yes, because yes and no, because if he's Deka, you mentioned this when we've done the Sky Sports interview the other week, that if you have a player's name mentioned for a move to the likes of Arsenal, where it may be, it means that they're a very good player doing very good things at this moment in time. So you've got to take it as a bit of a compliment. Yes, it does get a bit boring after a while that he's constantly getting touted across, but this is what Sky Sports do. This is their channel. Sky Sports News are based on this. This is all that they do, and it's not just Newcastle. And I think it's probably because over the years we've never really had a player that's as fantastic as what Isak is that is generating this interest.
But you just go back over,
so we've got to get used to it.
See, like for the last 2 seasons, it's been Bruno. Bruno's leaving. He's going to Man City. He's going to Arsenal. He's going to Liverpool.
It'll be Sandro before too long. So, as
but you didn't have Paul Merson and Aldi car park.
But you still he's sitting in Aldi car park.
You still had like the same thing of them linking, and every Bournemouth fans will be getting it the same. Or Semenyo's getting linked here, left, right, centre.
Well, remember when Southampton had all those players when Liverpool just picked the bones off them? Lallana, Luke Shaw,
and I get why people get upset with that, because these examples are being used as a fan, right? You're totally right with the Southampton; they were just ripping them apart. And you're right in terms of Bournemouth; they'll be feeling the same, and I get it. I do get it. I think I don't know. I just think what I'll say about Sky, right, in that regard, I just feel the window is so quiet, right? They're trying to generate stories over the base of January to try and generate interest, and that's probably why they keep banging this drum all the time.
Which they're entitled to do.
Like,
of course,
they are.
Who do you work for again, Deka?
No, but what I'll also say is, and I mean, no disrespect, who was the guy getting Matt something in it? He's on
Mark McCann.
Him sitting in some stand in Southampton with an opening line of Arsenal fans really want to sign this, but if
That's
you think it is ridiculous, but if you think that's making any inkling to anything in life, I mean, at all, other than your blood pressure, you're insane. Like, that's not bothering Isak or Arsenal or anybody. I don't understand why. He shouldn't have said it, maybe, but come on, that's not making a difference.
I've only seen the clip in isolation, so I've not seen what happened around it. Someone in the group earlier said they were talking about Isak possibly going to Arsenal immediately prior to that. So his opening line was apparently, I've not seen it, so this is me kind of going off hearsay, was like a continuation of that.
Yeah. Which makes sense. Yeah.
I think there's a lot to be felt about in the world at the minute. This isn't one of them.
I'm with Besty there.
Even if it did happen, right?
No.
The lad doing the commentary, surely he can't hear what's happening in the studio.
No, yeah, you can.
No, you can because then they know if they're going to go to him or not. Does that make sense?
I thought it would have been like a last minute thing saying, right, we're coming to you because there's a goal now. I don't think they'll be constantly listening to the studio as well. It'll be the producer that'll be doing that.
Well, there'll be a producer, but that's why sometimes you'll hear them kind of, when Andy Sixsmith's an example of it, where he has a back and forth to Jason Mohammed. Mm-hmm. He'll kind of respond to what's being said in the studio.
Maybe, yeah.
So you might get a 10-second count in to say, right, and then going live. So
yeah, and that counting might have been them talking about Isak going to Arsenal, and then it goes to him, and he goes.
Okay. I guess I don't know how it works exactly. If Andy's watching, because I know Andy's a friend.
But listen, I get what I'll also say is I've seen someone's, which was quite funny to be fair, actually. Obviously, Keith Downey came over the fence and said, like, well, to be fair, I haven't seen all of this sort of pile-on that Isak's going to Arsenal, even though I sat and told him that. But he says, I haven't really seen this pile-on. Some lad in the next comment went, well, it took me 60 seconds to find all these videos, and it was literally video after video after video on Sky Sports app.
Yeah.
Would Isak be a good fit for Arsenal? And Arsenal really want him. And I love Isak. And it was like, I was like,
but in fairness to him, he doesn't sit and watch Sky Sports News all day because he's out there reporting on it.
Yeah, no, well, then you
can't see the rest of the stories.
Well, then you should be damn careful what you say,
right?
You just got to be.
Yeah,
well, Isak sitting at home watching it going like, maybe that would be a good fit.
I think, right? Do you know what is it? And
the thing is Isak would be a good fit for Arsenal.
Would he not?
He'd be a good fit for anybody.
He'd be a good fit for every team.
There's not a club in the country would say no to Isak.
They'd win the league.
The difference is can they afford him?
And we're going to
absolutely
not with them anyway. But I think what you mentioned there, Besty, I think in around the training ground, Sky Sports is probably on almost every single TV.
Like it is, yeah.
So it'll just be constantly.
Except for that one TV that says we haven't won a trophy in 100 years or something like that. Yeah. Apart from that one.
But I think it is frustrating as fans. But I'm sure I must repeat myself a lot here. I try and do this when it's a penalty decision, a red card, roles reversed. If we're linked with Semenyo, say that comes up in the pipeline, and it's just constantly, the same way. None of us are going to have any issue with that. Yeah. Like we're just not. One of those things.
I think what we do as well, we'll look at it and
Levi's kicking off about the repeated stories about Mickey leaving.
I think do you know what it is? I think it's a bit naive from Sky Sports as well. Just think, he's like, I want to go to Arsenal if that was the offer was ever to come in. But we, as a Newcastle fan, we know for fine well they cannot afford him. So we're just thinking, you fucking wasting your time anyway.
You're right. I think the other thing that's driven, by this is, remember, for months, and we did as well, we talked about they have to sell one of the prime players because of PSR. This whole angle has been driven that way, so one of them have to go, which, to be fair, doesn't look like that is the case now, maybe not. I think it's more terms of where we finish in the league is the problem, not PSR. If we don't finish in the top 5, I'm telling you now, Isak is gone if we don't finish in the top 5.
I think you're probably right. I think that's the result of them having been a bit careful over the previous 3-4 windows, isn't it now? Where they've gone like, we're not going to spend it, but it's not just PSR now that we're in trouble with, because whatever the fee was for Gay. I mean, apparently it wasn't 70 million, but it was a lot.
40, 50, yeah.
Like, I think that's what they're looking at, is if we can keep that money instead of trying to deplete the squad, if we can just sustain for the time being, then we've got a bit more money, competition money coming in, sponsor money coming in, whatever it is. That's the point at which, and that's me maybe he's looking at things.
No, I think you're right.
But half full, like, 100% right, because they'll get past the deadline this season. 3 years ago, drop off, which is again where we spent a decent wedge of money. And then we're into a new season and a new set of.
And do you think that's where Mitchell made that comment when he came in saying we can't continue to operate this way? He said a line, didn't
something like that. It was
that was about is because we weren't selling anybody.
That was
We
that
weren't
was
getting
the
anybody out
backlog
the
of
back.
players I had.
But
Remember,
he needs to know his audience because there wasn't many to sell. I'm not trying to be awful here, but Hayden's of the world, and
Plenty of sell.
Jeff
You
Hendrick,
you're not
yeah,
going to
right.
get much there, are you?
That's the kind of. I started making a point earlier and lost my way a little bit, which amazingly does happen every now and then. About the summertime and kind of keeping the powder dry for the summer, they're hoping apparently to catch some clubs in the same situation as we were in with Elliot Anderson in the summer, and we had to sell him to bring in. Well, it's just not to get a points deduction.
Yeah.
I think the hope is that there'll be some of the clubs because it was a Kieran Maguire a few weeks ago.
Well,
said
that would have to happen in May, June time before the new cycle starts, if that was the case. So it would then include this season and the 2 previous ones for us as well.
Yeah, but that's what I'm hoping apparently to do because
there
when
will
we
be
sold
a
Anderson, it was end of June, wasn't it? It was
Yeah.
before the new kind of financial accounting year came into
Forest
being.
got a points deduction, didn't they, at some point?
last
Yes.
season.
And
I
I said,
not appeal it. Or was that Everton that appealed it?
Everton
both
appealed
did.
and got one. Oh, did they get it reduced?
got it
One of them got
reduced,
reduced, didn't it?
to
They
what?
both did.
Oh,
Everton
did it?
definitely did, yeah.
But they still got a points deduction
Yeah,
of
still
some
got-
description.
Yeah.
And I remember going back ages ago and saying, I'm not saying go balls to the wall and spend $1 billion, but you know,
Could do.
take the two. Forest are quite happy with that now. I bet. You ask a Forest fan.
The thing is,
about them
if
points
we get
deduction,
a-
I don't fucking care. Like,
If we, because Forest,
do you know what I mean? Though,
their
like,
points deduction took them from 15th to 17th or something like that. If we get a points deduction, it takes them from 5th to 7th. There's a Champions League on. So I think that's the.
well, maybe, but he's Forest are second now. Like, for now,
At the supporter sessions last season, I think it
Private
was
meetings,
secret
Silverstone.
meetings. Mock secret meetings.
All right.
It was either Silverstone or Eels. I can't remember which one it was. This was before any of the fines and point deductions had been given out. So there was they were basically saying that we don't know what the punishment will be.
Yeah, those.
If
Yeah,
you don't, meet the criteria for PSR.
So perhaps if they knew it was 4 points,
So
let's go
at
balls to
that
the wall.
time, once then Everton were charged, and then Everton were charged again, and then Forest were charged again. There's then probably it probably wasn't that bad.
I don't
But
know.
in that's
Everton-
the benefit of
You're absolutely
hindsight.
right.
Everton was 10 points to start with, wasn't
Yeah,
it? 10,
but-
10
Still
points.
survived.
I diced
No,
it
no,
well,
they did,
didn't
but 10 points in our position. If we've had 10 points fewer, the season will finish 4th. We wouldn't have been in the Champions League. Probably would have been in Europe at all.
Yeah, no,
It's
you're
a
absolutely
massive difference.
Yeah,
It's when you're between like, if you're like, what would it be, 8th and bottom? You take the risk of relegation as well, but you probably back yourself and say, well, we can get enough points not to be in the bottom 3.
I mean, Everton. God, I must say, when them got a 10-point, I was like, they're going down.
I thought that as
But
well.
They did well. There,
They did really well.
They did really
But
well.
any team in the top, probably from Liverpool down, include Liverpool at 10 points fewer, they'll be 3rd or 4th now. Any club from first, you're battling for Champions League places or the title or Conference League or Europa League even, 10 points is massive and that's it. You can't take that risk.
But you now look at the situation that Forest find themselves in. It's worked out very well for them.
Well, it's working out very well for them. We'll see what happens after 38 games.
But you could
They're going great. I've got no problem for us, by the way. I'm not like hope. I hope they drop off, but only for our benefit. I've got no problem with them strikes and stuff like that. I suppose.
But, we
I've got no
might
issues
get the
with
tune
Forest.
and they might need to offload a Langa or something like that. To us.
Eddie Anderson.
I'd be very surprised if them will not finish the top 4. Like, I'd be stunned. And if
I
they do, hey,
hope they do.
Of course,
I hope they just.
absolutely. But it would be
But it was
monumental.
Just before that, it was Villa last season. It's Forest
I think
this season.
us and Villa are, come on.
I think
Forest
it's
getting there would be
it's
unbelievable.
probably more my kind of, because I'm a Newcastle fan and all that carry on, like that. I think that ours feels like it's more sustainable than Forest's would be. I think they've got a brilliant manager and the team's going great. But the Forest thing to me feels a little bit like maybe Southampton a few years ago when they kind of had that success and they got picked to bits. It's a massive thing. Being in the top 4 or 5.
To shout that, Besty, to be fair.
There's only one, in fact, in the last 20 years, no club from outside the 6 has finished in the Champions League spots in consecutive years.
Yeah, that's right.
I was reading earlier today.
I read that because of Villa, the one about Villa.
Yeah, I was in the Athletic, I think it was. So we've the Disturbers, I think they call us, Leicester, West Ham were there for a little bit, didn't finish top 4. Forest are doing it now. It's so hard because the difference in financial kind of clout. Tottenham have been dog shit for about 3 or 4 seasons now. They've still got the money coming from the stadium, the sponsorships, where they're still the big 6. It doesn't really mean the top 6. It means the most financially commercially big 6. Yeah, and Tottenham, it's still the same 6, and we're still a long way off being 6.
I think I was telling you that I love listening to other teams' podcasts. Just randomly,
it's interesting. Yeah,
and I listen to a lot of Spurs ones. I do, and they were saying that Levy got
for an Arsenal fan.
That Levy got
Campbell did
a £3 million bonus at the end of last season, and it was all because of all of his sort of merits are more off the field related.
Gets 10% for everything he keeps.
Like whereas, and apparently the one about the wage bill and stuff, they're like hardly even top 10 in terms of the wages they give out.
Tottenham is that?
And then you look at
know.
the manager situation. You're on about the guy at Forest, right? That they had him for 5 games. That's when I got rid of him.
Yeah.
They've had Conte, they've had Mourinho, they've had Pochettino. Like they've had some amazing managers, right? And like, I don't know. It's the way you run, isn't it? It just has to be. It's the way you run.
I want to fire through a couple more. We can go for hour and 10. So
Chris will be going banana.
I know. So this one is a donation. It's £5 donation from Woody81. So thanks very much.
Cheers,
He
Woody.
says, "How good is Tonali, man?" Oh, Tonali, man, sounds like a superhero.
It does a little bit like I.
Man. Tonali, man. His question is, how many
points?
How many points clear of Liverpool would we be if Tonali started the season post-ban as number 6?
How many?
Took a long time, didn't it?
Points behind them, are we?
Yeah, how many you want now?
Because we had a really good start of the season, but we won most of the games. Because we had a really good start results-wise. We didn't play very well. I would be higher. Like if he'd have,
we're 12.
Had it not been for the ban and he kind of started the season and he played last season, so he knows the team, knows the Premier League and all that. Like, would certainly be higher than 5th.
He's great, and do you know what it is? Like, it was Bruno getting all the plaudits, and rightly so to a certain extent. But
Bruno's still lush, man.
He is. He's great. He's a great player. He is. But Tonali is like, I even think he's a next level above.
Yeah,
he is. He is.
Steady on. No, hang on. Well, listen, Bruno. Hey,
you know
Bruno's
how much I rate Bruno and how
Bruno.
Tonali is
a
better player than Bruno. He's
100%. If we're taking this sample from what we've seen,
technically better player, probably more skillful, definitely more pace, power, finishing's better.
I think that they're totally different players. I think Tonali's much more of a workhorse, can get stuck in. He's very, very good on the ball. I do get, but I think Bruno has more. I feel can unlock a defense. Has that. If there's someone that's going to unlock a defense, I feel it will be Bruno.
The instinctive pass.
I do. I think Bruno's tremendous. Like
I think they both are.
I feel like Bruno's like a tactician. Like he wins you the free kicks and stuff like that. Yeah. Like, and he kind of.
I do think that you'll see look at the goal against Bournemouth where he gets caught in possession.
Yes,
I'll not deny that. You'll see that more from Bruno Tonali.
Yeah, you're not taking that out of this game.
Tonali would give. I reckon if that was that, you would give that straight back to Burn.
Yeah,
would have come into him. He went bang straight back because but Bruno will try and take it on. Tonali would have never. I don't think would have lost the ball there. But I don't.
He's stronger on the ball as well.
So well, he is stronger on the ball. I would say that. But Bruno's clever in that regard. I just don't want to knock Bruno too much. I think he's fabulous.
No, I don't think we're knocking him.
No, I'm not. I would never. I love Bruno.
I just think, obviously, your opinion is Tonali is way better. I'm not so sure I could say that. And I love Tonali.
He's certainly playing better at the minute, I think. And I think Bruno's playing all right.
Maybe. I think Bruno's been much than Bournemouth game. I think he's been much better since he's moved position.
Yeah,
I think I've seen a new lease of life for him and a better player than him.
There's been a lot made. Are you going to ask a question about this, Chris, about Bruno when he got subbed? Because I've seen a lot about how Bruno was unhappy to be subbed, apparently. And I don't really think, I didn't remember seeing anything that kind of stood out.
But even if he was, it's fine.
I've had this argument for 10 years.
You want a player to be pissed off?
Yeah.
Absolutely do.
Gordon was. When Gordon went up, he was
being frustrated. He was shooting a ball at how one.
That time at Bournemouth.
Remember that? And everyone's over the fence going, oh, there's a problem. It's no problem, man. He just didn't want to come off.
Yeah.
He just didn't want to come off. And I would rather that than... Now, I used to say about Murphy a lot, right? And this is where we used to maybe agree. Murphy'd come off, he's waving it, he's clapping the fans, he's loving it. Why are you so happy you're coming off? Like I want the player to come off. Oh, fuck, I didn't want to come off there. But Murphy, I was the last one waving away at the fans, and that. I just always thought you're playing a character here at times. Like
kind of knows his players.
How dare you be happy to play for your boyhood club?
If your number goes up for 70 minutes or 70 or 80 minutes, I don't want anyone going, best in the world, I'm coming off. If you want to get out of the club, then you want someone to. Now you also don't want to be spitting in his face because he's coming off. I know there's a line here. But I'd rather someone be frustrated that they're coming off because he wants to continue. Of course it is.
Fine. As long as it stops there, then it's fine.
Exactly. That's what I mean. You don't I'm slapping down the way the pass.
Well, as long as it doesn't roll into like training and stuff like that. Of course.
And these lads, man, they're good lads. These lot, man.
Yeah.
See, it's got to be a situation because there's been far too many times where Bruno's been untouchable, and he hasn't been substituted off where he's been poor, and there's been times that he's been poor. We've sat here and talked about that, but there's a difference being taken off for a tactical reason
and coming out, because I think that's what it was at the weekend, was just again protecting them a
Was it
little
Miley
bit,
that came on
just
for
like Isak.
Yeah, it was Miley.
So Miley came on, Joe Willock came on, and then Miggy came on for his little cameo. He went up top as well through the middle, which would have been nice if he got a little goal to go away with. But I think it's just that
little goal.
that common sense bit of, right, let's just give them, it's only not 10 minutes, but it gives them that little bit of rest. He might have, been starting to look a bit slower on the ball because he's getting tired, stuff like that. Let's whip him off, bring on some fresh legs into the middle of the park
as well.
Exactly.
That's what it is. And sometimes we didn't have an option at all, and that's why Bruno's blown out of his arse at the end of the game.
Big games coming as well.
Yeah, huge. It's a huge week.
3 games in a week coming up. Got Fulham on Saturday, and obviously Arsenal on Tuesday.
Then Birmingham,
Tuesday,
is it?
Wednesday.
Wednesday.
It's the FA Cup after that, isn't it?
Yeah, Birmingham weekend after next.
Yeah,
it's a big week.
And we notoriously have struggled a little bit when we've had 3 games. And we because of our style and what we do tight. I still thought the Bournemouth game would look leggy as out. So we've just got to, got to be mindful of that.
I think we had a bit of a run though, hadn't we, of 3 games over Christmas New Year.
It was. I think it was the 3 weeks we'd had 3 games.
Yeah.
So
I'm going to end it on a bit of it's going to be a bit of a sour note, but we'll have a discussion about it because it is a question that's been sent in, and we'll touch on it a bit earlier. So it's from Wilson that says, do you think we'll still be able to retain the likes of Isak and Bruno if we get Europa/Conference rather than Champions League?
Yes.
I think Europa.
Yes.
Really?
Yes.
I think for Bruno, yes. I think for Isak, no.
Yeah. Where's he going to go?
It's someone might be a whole different story.
Thing is, if we keep Bruno and Isak and play in the Europa League or the Conference League, I think there's a good chance we'll win it.
It's European, yes, absolutely.
What an amazing feeling that
they want
we're
to
not
play
even in the competition
in the
yet, and we're thinking I could win that.
But he's right. We've got.
I agree.
We've got much more of an. That's why I would like. I know obviously it didn't happen, but last season I wasn't that bothered if we fell outside of those.
But that's a big
because it was the opportunity of going in the Europa.
I really wanted the Europa League. I wanted to be in Europe this season, but there was always that kind of, well, if we don't get in, at least we get a chance to kind of do what we're doing now. I think if we'd been, look at Villa are 7 or 8 points behind now, something like that. Maybe not quite as many as that. It is, and they're doing well with it. The Villa having a good season. They've got more points than we had this time last year. But it is. We had such a hard group as well.
Villa are playing a hell of a lot more games because this league thing's mental.
It is. It's entertaining, but it is mad.
And I seen that there was a stat yesterday that I think
does not work out in less games.
No.
It's
more that we played 6 in the group. I think it's 8 in the group stage this year. They're still in the group stage now, and it's like February next 4 years.
They were saying that they haven't won after a Champions League night for like 5 out of 6 games because it's just a demand it takes on you, right?
It's a huge.
Now I think
travel and stuff like that.
The reason why I'm not going to go back on what I said, because I said originally we're missed out on Europe this year. You're going to get one chance at that because you've missed out. These lads aren't going to stay around again if we miss again. So this particular season that we're in now has to be a success. And I said Champions League because I think if we didn't get Champions League, you'll lose one of them. Not lose them all because you haven't gotten Champions League.
Could you throw Tonali in that mix as well now? I think Tonali's got a bit like with us. I think his sample size, I think, might be on our favour. That unbelievable. I think Tonali will probably feel as if he might owe us a little bit as well.
Well, you would like to think, but I don't know.
I don't know. Maybe this is him paying back for his. It's a short career.
I think Conference League you might. I think right. I'm going to maybe change that a bit. Europa League, there's a chance, right, that you could because it's European football. We're going to invest probably more. This is what we're going to be telling the players, right? You've got to be saying we are going to invest more. We've got European football. If it's Conference League, you might struggle a bit then. Like,
do you think though? And I get what you're saying. I think with those likes of those players and them staying at Newcastle, then yes, we're huge shout of winning that tournament, Besty, huge. But that's a big risk for the player to say, well, we might win the tournament.
But the same, the valuation of Isak isn't going to drop just because we're in. Someone's still got to come up with the money for him.
Yeah.
I
get it for a certain extent, but it's very quick a player can down tools. It's very quick a player can make that fade and down tools.
Well, if a Champions League club comes in from that can afford him, which Mark's point's correct, who can afford him? We don't know, right? I will mention what Besty said earlier that you never know in the summer other clubs' sort of environment or what they can afford, right? Like Paris Saint-Germain, I don't know. Right? I just don't know.
Well, all it takes is one of that club to sell a decent player, and they've got that money and they go, right, we can then go and reinvest that. Yeah. My issue is that yes, everybody always says that, well, he's a Newcastle United player. It's up to Newcastle if they want to sell him or not, which is right to a certain extent. But you're only one player away from going, well, fuck yous. And the club's forced to sell. The power's in the players' hands, a lot of it.
You've got to trust the players that are going to be. It's not a good look, is it?
Yeah, of course.
I think the player Downs tools, the prospective buyers see that and think,
well, how many times have we bought a player that's down tools from other clubs?
Well, Kabay went on.
Kabay
did it. And Kabay went to PSG and barely played.
Yeah.
It wasn't a.
Listen,
Ben Arthur did that every club he was at.
That's happened a lot. Where, like, I mean, when
Kabay
Kabay
like the French to be waving white flags, isn't it?
But well, Kabay couldn't wait to go and get on the bus.
And El Grande Salmon said down and tools hasn't worked for Rashford, which it hasn't yet. But things can change.
It hasn't twice. But he's all. But bloody hell, right? Are you honestly trying to get Ryan Fraser involved in a conversation like the Isaacs of the world? This is different.
I suppose they did play it together
down
a little bit.
This is different.
Going on strike.
When you're Ryan Fraser, it might not work. There's a reason. But I think with Isak, like the everybody, he's the best man. Yeah. He's the absolute best. And if we lose him, you can't replace him. You cannot replace him, man. And that's my only worry. And that's why, to be fair, if we can get European football, we'll invest in the summer. That's got to keep him happy.
Do you know what it is? We're looking ahead at the future and the possibility of getting Europe. And we're starting at, Besty, we mentioned before, well, you mentioned earlier on the season that you can't look at the league table. I think we're probably at the point now where you start looking at it and thinking, right, it's pressure time really when it comes to those European places, because you only one defeat away from somebody catching you up at this moment in time.
Especially the minute,
the weekend.
Yeah.
They've been dragged and everybody's catching up to them that little bit there now.
Man City's back
ahead of us. Man City's back in.
And they couldn't win a game for love nor money.
And you're thinking, right, this is pressure now. We've got to continue with this form that we're in at the moment and these performances that we're getting. But yeah, we're looking ahead at that. But we've still got we're still in 2 cup competitions as well. So we might go all the way and win the Carabao Cup. We might go in the FA Cup and get the final and win that. We're
still in all the competitions that were at the start of the season. Theoretically, we could be.
Not quite, it's a week after.
But what? I mean, I did say that, and I still think it's. I mean, I think halfway through the season you get more of a picture. And earlier in the season when we were like 12th, 11th, 13th, maybe. I think that was a point where there was something like
Kris wanted how out.
It was around that time, yes. That was when like we were level on points with like Man U, Tottenham weren't far away, West Ham were there. It was just and it's not that long ago, really. It's only the start of December when we got beat off Brentford down there by the 4-2, and that was kind of the point at which the table started to stretch, and we were just that was when we happened to be in the form and won 7 and 8 league games. Is it 6 and 7, something like that?
Yeah,
obviously Bournemouth being the anomaly. I think you can probably gauge a bit better now how the season's going because I think we've played everybody once at least. Obviously Wolves twice now and stuff like that. And you probably the players that are in form are kind of the start of the season always feels a bit funny. Like the first weekend of the season, there tends to be upsets, lots of goals, and then teams get in their rhythm. You get through Christmas, loads of games. The Champions League's back again now. And I saw a graph on Blue Sky or something. I don't think it's been in our group, and it's like the kind of relative points of this season, last season, and the season we finished 4th, and we at the minute are ahead of. Obviously, last season this was the point where we're starting to tail off a bit early, actually, Christmas time. But we're now trending ahead of where we were in the Champions League season, where we finished 4th. This is the point in that season where we won like 8 in a row, something like that, like we're kind of shot with tables. So we don't read too much into it, but we're in a good position. We're in a really good position. And looking at past seasons, looking at what we've got left, what we've got coming up, we haven't got Champions League. Well, didn't have it last season either, I suppose, but we haven't had that kind of taken out our legs already. Season before that, we had the World Cup in the middle of the season as well, and that was where our forms got a little bit around the time of the League Cup final, ironically. I'm hopeful. I'm quite confident. I'm not certain that we'll finish top 5.
I think top 5. I really do.
I think it's certainly realistic. I think you look at Liverpool win it, and you've got Arsenal, Chelsea, Man City, us, Forest. I think Forest. I think there's a good chance Forest drop off, but there's also a good chance that they don't.
Let's show that we can finish in 3rd, man.
Oh yeah, but they'll be looking at us. There'll be a Chelsea podcast somewhere that go like Newcastle. They're going to be there.
So many people looking at us and saying Newcastle are one Alexander Isak injury away from the wheels falling off.
And that's absolutely
true as well.
That's fair to say. That is probably everything you said tonight. We've said tonight.
It's not just him. Isak, Gordon, Bruno, Tonali.
So, but
you take any of those out of that team, it hits us hard.
It hits us, but there you've named 4 world-class first teamers, if one of them gets injured, we've still got 3 world-class. You know, we're still a really, really good side.
Strikers, you mean?
But that's why
Strikers,
why we need to go out and sign the likes of Harvey Barnes, because you need to be able to have somebody that comes in and can fill in at a very good level, so that you're not left in a situation where you're having to rely on bringing your 16, 17-year-old into the middle of midfield, like what I do with Lewis Miley.
Or Asula as well. I think Asula's really ready. Yet for all I think he's started to look a bit better.
I love him. I love the look of him.
I like the look of him.
But he's raw. He's very raw. But I'm a big fan of him. Like.
Give him the rest of the season. Give a few more minutes under his belt. Yeah. I think he'll probably play a part against Birmingham in a few weeks.
Ironically, I don't want to see him because that means he's actually. So it's a funny one. I like him a lot.
Give him a good preseason, then see what happens next year. I'm really hopeful. I know Lightning doesn't strike twice and all that. But with what happened with Lewis Hall this season, I'm hopeful that Asula's got a similar kind
There's a reason why they normally are paid the most and they cost the most fees as the goal scorers.
Yeah.
It's because it's the hardest thing to do. It's put the ball in the back of the net. And if you lose Isak, and we don't want to end us on a downer. Like, he's going to be fine. It's going to be great. But like, if we did, Jesus,
I don't think he would. I think if we finish,
I don't mean lose. I mean injured. Sorry, I mean injured.
Sorry, yeah.
I don't think we'll lose him. Not that way. I don't.
No, he's not going anywhere.
Not a chance. Not the next 3 days at least.
Thanks everybody for joining us tonight. Almost an hour and a half, boys. So yeah. We're never doing this again.
Until you're off again, Mark's in control.
So yeah, thanks everybody who's tuned in, or if you are listening or watching back to this one as well. Like the video, it means a lot to us. Give us a rating as well if you listen to the audio as well. It costs you absolutely nothing to become a subscriber of the channel. So just help us. We're almost at 12,000. A bit of a push, we'll get there. And if you want to give an extra bit back, it is just $2.99 a month to become a member as well. You get early access to a lot of videos and extra content as well. Plenty more stuff coming this week. You have a couple of match previews coming up. You'll have your match reactions and everything else coming your way as well. So see you next time. What you doing?
Press the like button.
Ta-ra.